Welcome to Mitchell Elf. This year our theme is adaptations, and this unit is Hunter Hunted, and this is Center 1, What Can Specimens Tell Me? There are lots of parts to Center 1. The most important part is getting the kids to examine and look at the specimens that we have borrowed from the Museum of Nature and Science. And for those of you, hopefully, that had the training or had experience with our previous unit, you know that we are lucky enough to get to borrow these specimens from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. They ask us to be very careful with them, but they do know that sometimes accidents happen, so we're just asking you to email us and let us know if you either break something or find something broken. That would be great, and you can put it in a Ziploc bag and let us know, and we'll get a hold of it and hopefully save it right away. The specimens this time are all located in a blue tub that's labeled Denver Museum of Nature and Science, and then a small plastic bin, just like this. They there's not as many of them, but you probably don't need all of them for this center. It'll be up to you to decide which ones you want to use to illustrate your intentions for this center. I have laid out a few of them. There's porcupine quills, a bear claw, some skulls. This is a blue shark jaw. And it is shark teeth. They are sharp. Kids will probably want to touch them. All of these things require you to remind the kids that it's a 2-finger touch and a gentle touch. Kids may be tempted to want to put their hand through this jaw opening, and when they do, they will probably poke themselves with the teeth, so please do not let them do that if at all possible. Plus, they could break some of the teeth off. What else do we have? We have a tortoise shell. We have some mounts that are unique to museum mounts. Kids are going to ask you more than likely, how come, is it dead? Did you kill it? Or did you get it? The museum is fortunate enough to get to collect and preserve these items. They usually get them from donors or the Division of Wildlife, and they're mounted differently than mounts that you would see at that are out for display. They're mounted this way so that they can be used for scientific study. So you might want to discuss that with the kids. For instance, this one is a really good example of one that does not have. It's got eye holes, but not eyes, so that might be kind of concerning to some kids. So you might just be prepared for those kinds of discussions. But the job of the museum is to maintain collections, as well as have some things on display, but to maintain collections for further study, for even just things like ecosystems. So you could add that information to your discussion with the kids if you feel like you have time, or if there's questions that they come up with. We have these 2 ermines that are great examples of an adaptation, so it can hide from its predators. Their fur changes, as you can see. We have these morpho butterflies, where on one side they're bright and brilliant, and on the other side they blend in with their environment, like the tree that they could rest on. So and then I don't know if that's an alligator or crocodile skull. You'll have to look in your outline because I'm not holding mine right now. So when you get these out, just please again remind students that we have been really lucky to and privileged to get to borrow these from the museum, that they need to be super careful with them. The butterflies, for instance, are mounted underneath glass, which might be tempting to press on or lean on, and will then crack the glass. So just trying to be super careful with them and thoughtful. And again, if things break, let us know. If the glass breaks on the butterflies, don't try to remove the glass, just try to put it inside of a Ziploc bag, because generally they said you'll end up removing pieces of the butterfly, and they have trained people for that. So I think I've gone on long enough about the specimens. So the activity that you're going to do with these specimens, and you can choose how many ever you want to use to do this, gives your students a chance to look closely at examples of specific predators and prey animals and to identify the visible features that help each animal find or catch its food or evade other animals that want to eat it. So the students might not be able to see all the methods the animals use, or they might not recognize them, but the point is to have them do their own investigation and form questions they might like to find the answers out. So included, if I can find it out here, included in the center are is a folder with cards in it and dry erase markers, charts. What can specimens tell me? And you can do this as a group, especially with kindergarten and first grade. And as the kids get older, they might be able to fill this out themselves or with a partner. And have them for each specimen, like here's the porcupine quills. I don't know, there's a jaw, that alligator jaw, and that would be the ermine. But look at you could lay out these specimens, or you could pick some of your own to lay out and have them fill this out. What's the first thing they notice? What does a specimen look like? Based on what you can see, how does the animal hunt, or how does it defend itself? What do you think this animal hunts, and what hunts this animal? And if the kids come up with questions of their own with some answers, they could write that on their own paper. They could write it on the back. This is a vehicle to get them thinking about looking carefully at the specimens and thinking about why is it a predator, why is it prey, how does it avoid being eaten, things like that. There's discussion questions in your outline. You can, depending on how old the kids are, will probably determine how much you let the kids handle the specimens, and whether or not you have them working as a whole group or in partners. Let's see, what else? The discussion questions in the outlines say things like, what weapons do these animals have to attack other animals or to defend themselves? Can animals frighten each other with their appearance? Which animals would scare you and why? And then, after, as if that wasn't enough, you can also, and we recommend that you do this before you pull out all these specimens, you could also do this other optional activity that we've provided, where students look at these photo cards, and they're divided into two groups. The blue are the prey, like this moose right here, and the brown ones are the predators, like these wolves. And you can have the students, you can pass these out to the students, divide them in half, or again do it as a whole group, and ask the students to make a list of the adaptations that the predators are exhibiting, or that the prey are exhibiting. They can write a list, or they can just share their ideas with a discussion. The adaptations should relate, though, to its role as a predator or its role as a prey. Let's see, there's master lists in here as well on these pink papers that tell you some of the adaptations. And this might be good to go over just even using this sheet. The adaptations of the predators, the adaptations of the prey. Before you get out the specimens, you might not even want to use the photo cards, but you might want to just name some, or help the kids identify the actual more scientific names of the adaptations that animals have made before they fill out the chart. What else? There's a whole bunch of more things that you could discuss with the kids that are listed in the outline. I think that between the activity where they're filling out what specimens tell me, this chart, and looking at the actual specimens, and the activity where they're discussing what the specific adaptations are, like for instance mimicry or speed to flee or front-facing eyes or acute hearing, I think that a discussion of those items will definitely take up your entire 20 minutes. So the rest of what's written for Center 1 on the outline will definitely be supplemental or borrowed for other centers if you'd like to. As always, there are books. There is also great information in here that goes with the specimens, an information sheet about the specimens in the case. So that could help you as the and some of these things are not in here, like the praying mantis we didn't get, but this gives you a general idea and guideline for discussing what's in our specimen box. And I think I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, you can email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. And again, this was Center 1, what can specimens tell me? And it is the only center that uses the specimens we brought from the Museum of Nature and Science. So if you pick this center, you should definitely be willing to be familiar with careful handling and supervision of the students. And I would recommend, if you have extra volunteers, that you put 2 volunteers on this center. Thanks so much. And again, if you have any questions, mitchellelf@gmail.com.